Welcome to the Love Movement Podcast. We got a special guest with us today, the trustee for the Village of Westchester, Victoria Vann, and she's going to explain her story and her crusade about what she has going on for the Village of Westchester on the 19th and the 22nd of June. Am I correct?
You got it.
So, but before we get started with that, I want to say we lost 4 people in the community that was very important to the community, and that was J.C. Flowers, Mrs. Meredith, and Robbie Grace, as everybody know, was a police officer as well. And the heart of the heartbeat of Maywood District 209, we lost Viola Mims. She was a funny, tough lady, hard, but she was fair. And I really enjoyed her. She got on the kids and, told them, hey, you know what you should do. And she was there when I was there as a police counselor. So her services this weekend at Wallace's. And we're waiting on the Robbie Grace services. J.C. Flowers and Miss Meredith already had their services. But let's pray for those families. Let's ask for peace in their spirits. And also, we want to thank our viewers also. I mean, man, without you guys, it's tough. I mean, it's a blessing just to have you. And our sponsors, without a doubt. And we got the ladies living life, and they just did a booze cruise for Mother's Day. Then they went to Memphis in May. Now they on their way to Minnesota in May, and they're gonna do a great weekend. And they still have rooms available. You could call Miss Rose at 773-590-1991, 773-590-1991 for about their booze cruise. And then we also have 717. They got some things coming up that they'll be opening up that outside this summer. We got the Blue Notes. You can fill out any kind of event that you're having over there. And then we got Viola Shot, the dispensary that got all kind of deals and all the good stuff. So, and also Mayor Katrina Thompson, she's doing the JUNETEENTH, June 14th through the 16th. They're having their festival in Broadview. So you guys need to show some love, show some support to them. Now, last week we were blessed to have Momentum on the show, and I mean, he blessed us with his knowledge, his wisdom, and he blessed us with his poetry, and it was a beautiful thing to have him, express himself and the struggles and the challenges that he went through as a young man coming up. It was a beautiful thing. But proms and graduations, y'all got anybody going to the prom or graduation?
I don't personally, but I've been watching and following a number of folks whose children are celebrating this year.
Shout out to Sharon McGee's daughter Tia. I want them on the show because she has a story to tell. She was the only Black swimmer in her school.
That's awesome.
And I want her to hear. I want to hear her story. I want the people to hear her story. So we'll make sure that they get on the show. So what's up with this Diddy thing, man? Which, I mean, he got a video showing that he was wrestling with the girl.
Her. Yeah.
And then he got one where he was crying, talking about, I'm sorry.
You don't sound like you believe it.
I'm sorry. Come on now.
I just think it's interesting that this is all kind of playing out in a very, I don't know if timely is the right word, but we saw the lawsuit first. Well, it was grumblings before that of his past dealings and who people really are saying he was at that particular time when the rumors started flying. And then the lawsuit came, and then some folks came out of the woodwork saying, validating exactly what she was stating. Then this video surfaces, and then the apology video. So it's just interesting. It seems very strategic.
Yeah. The money that he has, he should put somebody up to protect him. And that's how I look at it. whether he's guilty or not, which is not I'm not the judge, I'm not the jury, I'm not none of that. But with all of the people saying what they're saying, uh, he has to clear his name. He has to, because he's losing a lot of money daily. Now, not only are those videos surfacing, but they went to a couple of his houses, one in New York, California, or Miami, or somewhere like that, and they got videotape. And on these videotapes, they supposed to have a lot of celebrities that were involved in sexual activities and preachers, and so it's going to be interesting how it unfolds. That's crazy.
It is crazy. I think that his PR person was trying to tell him to do some damage control and back up because it was on video. But some of us believe like you should have just been quiet.
Yeah,
because that apology kind of made it worse.
It wasn't sincere.
It wasn't sincere
to me.
Yeah,
you know, how you gonna ask 50 Cent if you want to go shopping? See, it's that kind of stuff that throws a curveball in everything that we do.
But he was tipped off, though, I believe. And that's why I was saying that I feel like all of this is just strategically playing out. Like, I think he knew months ago, maybe even years ago, that this was coming. So I think he had to come to grips with this was coming. And now it's here. And now, again, the PR person suggesting that he does damage control. But again, I just think that he's worse off the more he talks.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there's just no sincerity there, like you
I
all
agree.
said. And and it's interesting that there isn't very many people coming to his aid. Like, the only person that I've heard really talk about him being a stand-up guy is Stevie J, and even that's kind of suspect.
Well, they supposed to be sex partners.
I mean,
I'm gonna come to his rescue because this is what position he was putting the kids in. If they needed some kind of help or boost or push, let's have sex and we'll get you back in the game.
Yeah,
that's the crazy thing about it. And you got young innocent kids out here that want to get in the game, and they're selling their souls to the devil to gain the world. And that's one of the problems that I have with the whole thing. But good luck, Diddy. I hope on your tour that it works out for you and you clean your act up, buddy, because everybody can't be saying the same thing about the same thing at the same time, and something ain't.
Some truth is not in there somewhere.
Do you see what I'm saying? So, but yeah, and then we had a question of the day, the thing about the relationships people have, and what are some of the good advice that you can share to help somebody's relationship. And where I got this from, I heard Umar Johnson. He said that white women will support a brother and they will finance him and everything like that, but a sister want a brother already made, already ready. So when it is just like it kind of cooked, and it was like, hold on, let me ask this question: what are some of the things that can help a good relationship? Because some brothers, I mean, growing together is very important to me. When two people, when they could grow together at a certain age, because once you get a certain age, it's like, not today.
Not today and not never at that point.
Not today. So it was interesting, and some people gave great answer. Communication, stay in contact, be honest with each other, regardless if it's going to hurt the next person or not. Because if you don't be honest, and then they find out that you wasn't honest, it's a whole set of problems. So we talked about communication, and
well, I think it's so. I wanted to hit on what you mentioned that Dr. Umar said about Black women not being willing to build. I think that's what he was trying to allude to. I didn't hear it myself, and I don't think that's true. I think that's probably the minority, but at least I've encountered a number of women who have stayed the course, who's also been there and supportive based on potential. And ultimately, the person grew into who they would become. And I can just say for me personally, I again have witnessed a number of Black women around me who have been there as far as wanting to grow and develop with the person in the relationship. Now, it's also not unreasonable to expect for somebody that's an adult person to have their stuff together. But again, it's about balance to me. If you are with someone that fell on hard times and then ultimately they have to rebuild, I think that it's appropriate, obviously, to stick around. And I also think that, you know, you have to kind of have foresight and not just look at what's in front of you, because again, I've been in positions where you're dating for potential and the potential shows up. So it's really just a matter of balance. And I think that people have to use their own instincts and intuition to know if they're putting resources, time, energy, effort into a relationship that is a dead end, or if it's ultimately going to grow into something more.
Yeah, and it's funny because every relationship come with baggage.
Absolutely.
You just got to find the person that want to help you unpack.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm looking at. And so, all right, y'all help somebody in their relationships out there.
I think also, let me just add in, if you don't mind, I think it's important that we really focus on being equally yoked.
Yes.
So many times we're unequally yoked and we date the representative.
Yes.
And then when that representative is over and the honeymoon is over, and we're like, who are you? Where'd you come from?
Right.
Right. And then they're asking the same thing. Well, who are you?
Yes.
You know, so we have to understand that we have to utilize patience and know that when you're coming into one, it's two different people with two different sets of baggage. And whatever you unpack, and you better be okay with what's in that luggage.
Yes.
Right. Or if you're not okay with that, then you got to go ahead and get right and build up some momentum and, you know, some wherewithal internally before you get into a relationship.
I agree.
You know, so my advice is know thyself first and
Yes.
then go into a relationship, and don't let that relationship build you who you are. You come
To
fully
thine
packaged.
self
Already
be
packaged.
true.
That's right.
Yes.
To thine
Right.
self
Yep.
be true. Well, y'all heard the voice of Victoria Vann. She's the trustee in the Village of Westchester, and she's on a crusade. She's kind of
Let's do this.
she's pushing a program, and we like to hear all about it. But tell us who is Victoria Vann? What's your background? Where you grew up at? Where you?
Oh, we getting into it.
Yes,
Okay,
let's go.
Let's go.
Well, people need to know.
Yeah, so I was born in Detroit. It's going on the D. Raised in New Jersey, Jersey girl, and moved out here and went to DePaul University, where I got my undergraduate degree in industrial organization psychology. Studied abroad in London and France, fashion design, because I thought I wanted to be a designer, right?
There you go.
Halfway through college, I'm like, I think I want to do something different. My mom was like, stop playing. So, and then I came back and I worked in, entertainment field for a little while, worked for Jenny Jones, really was building my brand. And then I end up getting bit by the social service bug. And that is when I landed into Chicago Housing Authority as the relocation project manager. So it was my first job. And I remember they put me in Cabrini Green and they were like, all right, good luck. And I was like, what is Cabrini Green again? You know, I'm from Jersey, right? What am I going to do? Oh, well, we're going to actually close these projects and we're going to rebuild mixed income, mixed finance housing. I'm like, what and what? Like, right. But that was the turning point for me where I began to get strongly involved in, the public sector and what that looked like, and just really being an advocate and growing in that space and learning all about Chicago, learning about, the communities in Chicago, learning about the families and the networks, learning about how you don't go to different parts of Chicago. You know what I mean? Certain time. I mean, learned about everything. But I think the takeaway was that whenever I drive past certain communities now in Chicago, I could say that I was a part of that. I was a part of transforming that part of Chicago. And I still know a lot of those residents, and I helped them, and then I helped them come back if they wanted to come back and make sure they had decent, safe, and sanitary housing and advocated for them. So I always have a special heart and a special place in my heart, rather, for residents and people It's always people before politics with me.
Well, Jersey and Detroit, they got their public housing
They
situations,
sure do.
and so it shouldn't have been too hard for you to.
Well, it was because I never worked in the public housing system.
Okay.
You know, I might have drove past it, know people who were living in public housing, but I was never had to work in the public housing, you know, and then having to walk up the buildings, you know, close the buildings down. You know, that
Wow.
was major. That was a part of the transformation of Chicago,
Okay.
and understanding those impacts, and then dealing with the residents and where they're going to move, because this is generational housing. Right.
Yeah.
So now this is all they're used to. You can't just say that they're inventory. So now I'm getting passion. You can't just say that they're inventory and move them and close this building and just say, while I look at this pretty community. No, no, no.
And then you bring in the migrants,
And
and
then
you set it up for them.
You can't do it that way. You know, it's got to be about people and understanding that these are people, they're humans, and they deserve a quality life. They deserve decent housing. They deserve sanitary housing. They deserve an opportunity just like every one of us. And that's where I'm at with this. So anyway, I'm gonna get off my platform.
Okay,
on that
but
one.
well, listen.
Appreciate the
Let's
passion.
let's back up. You said you studied abroad. You
I
studied
did.
in London.
I did.
What kind of experience was that?
That was so much fun. Oh, that was
Well,
fun.
tell us.
Well, so the police don't have any guns. Let's start there.
Bobbies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, what you gonna do with that?
Bobbies. Yeah.
What's that? All right, this must be a really safe area, you know. And then I almost got hit twice because you know the direction of traffic is the opposite. So I was looking at the opposite way, about to walk into traffic. That happened a lot. The food wasn't so good, but the community and the people were great. Studying abroad and meeting people from all over the world and cohabitating with these people and learning how to live and being indoctrinated in other people's cultures really inspired me. You come back with a different mindset, and because you're out of the bubble now. And so it's totally different. When I went to France, I honestly thought I should be in France. I thought I was French. In my mind, I wanted to stay there because everything about them was just so free and so liberal in a lot of respects. And liberal not as in out of control or going rogue, but liberal as in passionate about what they believe in and what they, you know, were set out to accomplish.
So, tell us about how did you get interested from being a community leader, community service oriented, to become into politics? Tell us, how did that start?
I've been in public service my whole entire life. So I started out with Chicago Housing Authority, went to Heartland Alliance, was a property management for affordable housing, went to Illinois Housing Development Authority for home ownership programs, then now at HUD. So I've always been in public service. So serving the public is really nothing new for me. I think the transition kind of came over when I started. My mother passed away. She was the first African-American woman for Union 512 to be president.
What is Union 512?
That's for American Airlines.
Okay.
And my granddad was Eugene Baker. He was one of the first African-Americans to be signed to Chicago Cubs and one of the first major league managers for Major League Baseball.
Right.
So when...
That's a rich history.
That's
right there.
very rich. And they all were advocates. Like I remember my granddad used to go out and recruit. And he used to go to Chicago, other places, and he would not go to the popular areas. He would go to the Inglewoods of the world, everywhere, and then literally recruit. And then he would go back and teach Little League. Just a quiet, laid back, you know, advocate. And my mother was the same, but she didn't play no games. But she would give you, you know, the shirt off her back, and she loved to be a part of, you know, soup kitchens and fighting for, you know, employee rights. And then she would just be quiet at home after that with her family. So I've gotten that kind of naturally in my blood, you know, to advocate, to be in social service, to fight for the injustice. And so that's just the hand I was dealt with in my family. When my mother and my granddad passed away, I created a foundation in their memory, and I took a portion of my inheritance and I sold it back into the community by way of scholarships for diverse learners. And that's a funny story because I am a diverse learner. I have dyslexia. And for years, they told me that I could not be anything besides a mechanic, a housekeeper, they told me. And then they said some other trade that I can't remember. And nothing's wrong with any of those things, but that's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to design clothes. I thought I wanted to be an attorney at one point. I just wanted to be, you know. And so I never had that opportunity to really explore like the college life and really get involved into it until I found someone who believed in me. And that person encouraged me to go to DePaul University. And so I wanted to do the same thing for other people because I know there's a lot of other Victorias out there that just need a voice and they need purpose and they need someone to believe in them. And so that was by way of creating that scholarship. And then I created a bullying program because my son was bullied. And my son helped me create the bullying program to advocate for youth who are bullied and then parents to kind of figure out how that works and how do you deal with bullying and some. And then I celebrate unsung heroes. And I just do that just by listening to people's stories. And I listen to them and my heart goes out to them. And I hear God say, that's the one. And I celebrate them. I either give them a spa day or I do something for them. And I acknowledge them and I let them know.
We got a giving heart. That's what the love movement is all about. Y'all look at and listen to what she's saying. Now you go from Detroit to Jersey to London to Paris to France to all of them places. How did you wind up in Westchester?
So when my mother passed away, I went to Georgia for a while to be with my dad because I am daddy's little girl, 100%. Then I came back here for a job offer, and I wanted to be close to my son's grandparents, and they live on the west side of Chicago. So I thought Westchester is a good landing spot, right? It's where it's closer to his grandparents. It's good transportation. It looks diverse. I drove around Westchester prior to buying, talked to some of the residents. I said, well, this might be very similar to how I was raised in Jersey, quiet community, diverse, I want this for my son. I want this for my son. So I bought. And that's kind of how I started my life in Westchester. And I wanted a quiet life. I tell you not. I bought a little house.
You didn't want no quiet.
I did.
Life.
I promise you. Listen, I did.
You're a trustee in the village.
Everybody this.
You're a trustee in the village of Westchester.
I wanted a quiet life. I was minding my own business, Chris. I promise you I was. They came for me. I didn't want it.
Wow. So tell us, how did it
So basically,
formulate?
my son had some issues at school, and what you should never do is bother a woman's child, especially their boy child. You're going to have some serious issues. And so you kind of woke the beast,
Yes.
right? Because I'm like, listen, you don't want this heat, but here we go. So that's kind of how it got started. And so with that, I started working with school administration, which now we have a really good relationship. We had to get through some troubled times. And then that led me into just learning more about 209 school district and what they're going through. So when they were doing, the protesting, I was out there and, getting involved. And then I guess word got around and somehow or another, someone said, hey, and kind of called me, you want to be on our slate and be a trustee? And I said, well, I don't even know what a trustee is. Wait a minute, is that an alderman? And after they broke it down to me, I'm like, But then I started to think about how many other Victorias that are out there that went through something similar that need a voice. I need to be out here and be the representative and be that voice for other families that are in Westchester. And then there's some things that need to change, and I want to be a part of that change. So I jumped in the game, and then the whole time when I jumped in that game, Chris, I was telling you, I was like, okay, so today is the day I'm gonna stop. I'm done campaigning. I don't even know what I'm doing. And then I would knock on someone's door and I would hear a resident and I would listen and I'd be like, dang, I'm in it again. I can't let her down, And my son was like, oh God, because he knocked on about 1,000 doors with me, my son and I. And he was telling the story and passing out the literature. He had to get some of the doors that were slammed in his face too. And I'm like, it's okay, son. He's like, it's okay. We just kept going and going. And I messed around and got elected. And that's kind of how it happened.
And so being elected, new to the community, what are some of your challenges? What are some of the things that you are up against as a Black American female?
I think that the challenge that we all have in in America, and probably I would even argue globally, is our voice trying to be silent. You know what I mean? Our accolades and our history trying to be, silent. That's not just for Westchester. That's just something I go through in addition. And so now when I sit in this seat as a Black woman, I know that I have to be conscious of everybody in Westchester who has a voice and who wants their voice to be heard. And not only just Black women, but people in general. You'll find that what I love about Westchester is that we're more alike than not. Contrary to popular belief, we are. I met a lot of great residents knocking on those doors, and they all had the same heart, the same mindset. They all wanted diversity, all wanted, good neighborhoods, good schools, and send their kids. We wanted the same thing. So once we get past our implicit or conscious biases, we will see that we're more alike. And that's sort of my challenge, and not even a challenge, it's a goal for me to show that we're more alike than not, and we need to unite, because if we're not united together, we won't survive together. And that's really where I'm at with it.
And that's where you are.
Yeah.
And so the challenges are minimum in certain areas, but in some areas the challenges are greater. And you're spinning a crusade to do the Juneteenth flag raising and the walk.
Yeah.
Tell us about how did that come about?
I'm always getting myself into something, I tell you. So fresh off the press, newly elected. I think I was sworn in May. I don't remember. And by June, I was calling President
May
Rebo.
of what year?
2023.
2023.
I just made my year.
You fresh.
I'm fresh, And so that's why I got a whole lot of, we can do this.
Not exhausted yet.
And if I am, I'm like, I'm not over. I got to keep it moving. I got to keep pushing towards the finish line. But I actually called President Rebo, who was obviously new elected as well. And I had went to all of these different Juneteenth events in the surrounding communities. And Westchester had just passed its resolution, thanks to Trustee Stecker, that Westchester would then officially acknowledge Juneteenth as a holiday by way of, staff being off and so forth. And so as I was going to these different celebrations of Juneteenth in the surrounding neighborhoods, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Where's Westchester's Juneteenth celebration? President Rebo, I got an idea. And I was like, I don't know what to do. We only have 5 days before June 19th is here. What do I think I want to do a flag raising ceremony. And he was on board with it. The village was on board with it. And they were like, well, if you could, make it happen. How can we support you? So, the village supported that initiative, and it turned out really well to only have 5 days to plan it out. And I was so determined. I was like, I'll buy my own flag if I got to raise it. And then what I heard back from the residents was, thank you. And thank God, we've been waiting for this. This is great. Can you do it again next year? Are you going to have a committee? Can I be on the planning committee? And I was like, wow, I'm on to something here. So then this year I'm thinking, let's expand it to 2 days. And then let's get a Juneteenth committee in there. So I thought about the same residents that raised their hand a year ago, called them up, said, you want to join this committee? Because I'm going to do it again. And they're like, absolutely. I was like, let's go. Mm-hmm. And so, we have a, Juneteenth committee, which is the subcommittee from the events committee. And we have public works sitting on there. We have the village staff sitting on there, the park district sitting on there, the library, and residents, the key. And we had just been busy at work, just, putting ideas together. I'm listening to ideas, hearing everybody's input, making sure the resident voices are heard through it out. And, we're off to planning this 2-day event.
So did you have to kind of educate?
Absolutely.
Okay. Tell us about
absolutely
that process.
And that's an ongoing process, okay. Right? Because I constantly have to remind people that this is an American holiday. This is an American holiday. Juneteenth flag is different from the Black History flag that we see, right?
Yeah, it was originally out of the state of Texas.
It's Galveston, Texas. This is a turning point in American history. Is one of the oldest holidays under-celebrated, rather. And this is a part of our history. We cannot, that's what I mean about the voices being silenced. we cannot erase Black history in American culture because that is a part of American culture. We know that the
Black history is real history.
and guess what else we know? We know that the slave trade, that labor helped build America, even to the White House. And so and America's still profiting off of that, and so why not celebrate an opportunity where the leadership of America said, you know what, this slavery is not good. We got to do something different about this. They should be treated as equals. They should be treated as humans. We got to do something a little different. Now I'm paraphrasing this, okay? Because it's a lot more intricate than that. But at a high level, this is a turning point for America history. This is something to be celebrated. And unfortunately, Juneteenth has been underrated and hasn't been celebrated because it hasn't been taught. I think the education system has failed many of us in terms of Black history and African-American contributions to American history. But I want to be clear that this is just not a Black history or a Black event. I get that a lot. And it's not that. It's an American history, and it's worth celebrating, and it's worth knowing about it.
You know what? A lot of people might be concerned that they don't really understand it. Could you explain to us what Juneteenth really is and how it derived and where it came from?
Yep. So I can do it at a very high level. So in short, the slaves were freed, but not all slaves were freed. So in Galveston, Texas, there were still slaves, and they were enslaved for 2 years after slavery had ended. Well, Galveston, Texas was about making that money. And so they were like, we're going to try to keep them enslaved as long as we possibly can. So eventually it got out that there's still slaves in Galveston, Texas. The word came down from, I think it was the military, or let's just say the government, okay? Government representative, and said, no, you all are free. Slaves got rumored that they were free, didn't know for sure they were free. So they walked off the plantation. And I think once they realized that they were walking off and no dogs were chasing them and nothing was happening, that maybe we might actually be free.
Might be it.
Yeah. So they walked down, and this is where the Freedom Walk comes in. They walked down to the city, into the city area, and they went to the courthouse to just verify. Like, okay, I heard a rumor. Let me see. And there was a notice on the courthouse saying, absolutely, that's true. Then they walked over to the church and they broke bread and they celebrated, right? And that's where that Freedom Walk comes from. And a lot of people in a lot of communities, rather, that do the Juneteenth celebration, they always incorporate the Freedom Walk because that was their walk to freedom.
Okay, that's very knowledgeable. Thank you for sharing that information, because a lot of people didn't know. I knew it came out of Texas. It wasn't a thing that was across the country. It was something that they were fighting for in Texas, but now to make it a national holiday, it's a nice honor. When you look at Juneteenth and you got your Freedom Walk, explain to us your 2-day event, how it starts. Where do the people go to register? Where we'll be when we start the walk? All of that good stuff. This is what we got you here for.
Oh my God! And I'm so excited. Can you tell?
Yes.
The adrenaline is pumping.
Yeah.
Because I'm excited about this. When you hear the residents and people that are not even a part of Westchester saying, "Ooh, good job, Westchester. Ooh, I like this. Wow, I'm impressed." It's like, yes, you know what I mean? And when you hear residents start to have the conversation, when you have cultural events like this, it starts the conversation and you start to peel back those layers. And so that being said, it's a 2-day event.
2-day event.
Let's go.
June
19th, right? We're going to start at the Broadview Baptist Missionary Church. That's on the corner of 25th and Roosevelt. We'll line up about 9:45 and we'll start our walk at 10 a.m. We're going to shut down that road as we walk over the bridge, because this is our Freedom Walk.
Man, that's Selma, Alabama, y'all.
Come on now. I'm thinking about all the people who came before us, right? All of the freedom, the freedom fighters that came before us, the civil rights, movement that came before us, because of them, we can stay here and we can have these conversations. So let's pay honor where honor is due. So we're going to walk over the bridge to the Village Hall. And at that time, we're going to raise the flag, the Juneteenth flag. We have
Is it connected to the Village Hall building?
absolutely it's
Okay,
to
the
the
pole,
flagpole,
yeah.
yes, and it'll be waving there for I don't know. I want to say a month. Don't quote me because I don't need any calls to say, well, it was 29 days to 30. I don't know, but it's going to be waving there. But we're going to have Commissioner Stamps there, Commissioner Aguilera there, and Majority Leader Senator Lightfoot will be there, and they will be giving their remarks. I will obviously be there with my remarks. My son will be giving an explanation of the Juneteenth flag and what that looks like. I also ushered in a diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility statement for the village. So that will be read there. So that means when you go on the village website, you're going to see that statement. And that's what we're going to live by, right? That's
Awesome,
what we're going to follow by. And then we have a couple of businesses that are willing to support and provide complimentary snacks. We have Crazy Grapes on Roosevelt Road.
Yeah.
She's going to be here. She's going to give taffy grapes. We have Shapoppin'. She's going to provide, some free popcorn.
Okay.
And we have a She Hero Coffee. I got to give props to She Hero Coffee. This is a veteran-owned Black woman coffee business.
Where is it located?
It's online.
Okay.
And she's going to be giving complimentary coffee. And then, of course, if you want to purchase coffee, that's there.
Okay.
But it's going to be an amazing event. We got the traveling Juneteenth tent that'll be there. And I must tell you, the people of Forest Park are going to honor Westchester Public Library with an original art from Tony Robertson.
Oh, bless you.
Yes,
That's
so
cool.
that's how Forest Park is contributing to Juneteenth, and that will hang in Westchester Library indefinitely in honor of Juneteenth.
Okay.
So I think it's so amazing. So that's June 19th.
That's 19.
Let's go to the 22nd.
22nd.
All right, so June 22nd is the first Juneteenth Community Day. And what I wanted is an opportunity for the village to come together and relax and enjoy the music, enjoy entertainment, enjoy vendors, and eat good food. So we got a kids zone there. Living Fresh Market, shout out to Living Fresh Market. They have donated food for our kids. So we'll be offering free lunches for our kids until it's exhausted. Paul's Pizza is also donating as well. We have several vendors coming in for food. Shout out to Jungle Plate. And we have about 30 or 40 vendors already. And so Pastor Darius Brooks from Grace Central Church, he'll be performing. DJ Still is on the ones and twos, and we got line dancing. So we're going to do line dancing instruction. And so there's going to be something for everyone, there. So it's going to be a really good event.
So now on the 19th, what time we gather? 9:45?
9:45 if you want to do the walk.
If you want to do the walk.
If you don't want to do the walk and you just want to meet at the Village Hall. Yeah, so 10:30.
10:30.
Yeah, if you get there at 10:30, we should be there.
So on the 22nd, what time we start and where's the location? Where's everybody going?
It is at, we're going to start at 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Gladstone Park.
Okay, that's across the street from
Grace Central Church.
From his church,
Yes.
Darius Brooks. Okay, That's the good stuff. I'm glad you provided all that information because it's important. Some people don't understand. Now, you do have a flyer. Tell them how the flyer works, and there you go.
All right. I don't know if it's up.
You could do it either way.
Yeah, there you go. You can't. I don't know if you
Well, that's
see
all
it.
right.
But let's talk about it really quick.
We'll
so
talk
there's
about the
a QR code here. I need everyone to go to this QR code and register for the Freedom Walk. Okay, I'm going to say it again. Register for the Freedom Walk. Go to the QR code, register for the Freedom Walk. If you don't have the QR code accessible because maybe you can't scan it in time, call the Village Hall and tell them that you want to register for the Freedom Walk, okay? That's very important. Let's get these numbers up. Let's get people participating, all right? And then if you want to be a vendor, there's still opportunities to be a vendor. Or if you want to be a food truck vendor,
we got to check and see if Lady Z, congratulations, your daughter graduating from grammar school today. She's our other co-host, and she has Goddess accessories.
Tell her to come on.
So we'll how much is the vendors?
So if it's a Westchester business, it's free.
Okay.
For non-food vendors, it's $50. And for food vendors, it's $150.
Okay.
So it's still reasonable. It's affordable. It's,
Lady Z, we're gonna talk about getting you in there, girl. If you ain't already in there, because she goes all over the city, everywhere she can.
Well, we want her.
Yeah.
I want her.
Okay.
I want her.
All right.
So give
You
her
hear
my
that?
information.
And
I want you. What's it, Lady Z?
Lady Z.
Lady Z, I want you.
Yeah,
I
Goddess
want you.
accept. And again, congratulations to your daughter. That's a beautiful thing, graduating from grammar school. I remember my days in grammar school. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's good.
Because when I was in grammar school, we used to catch the train, Congress train, and go downtown. And when you get off, Chicago looked like Las Vegas. You had to, oh man, United Artists, Chicago Theater, Staten Lake, whatever. But anyway, to all the ones that's going on prom and graduating, we want to just say, God bless you. Thank you for providing all that information.
Thank you.
I think it's historic that, to start doing some things in the neighborhood. Glad that you landed here. Glad that you're not in Jersey or Detroit or
somewhere overseas,
the west side of Chicago or whatever. Glad you landed here because we need people like you. Mm-hmm. And one thing that we always say as we close, as we give our time, the love movement, all of that, but treat people the way you want to be treated and never give up. And you never gave up as being diagnosed with dyslexia and all of that. And so we're proud of you. We're glad to have you on our show. Sure. This has been a beautiful, beautiful show. And we want to thank you. We want to thank all our fans out there. God bless you. This is the Love Movement. Don't forget the 19th and the 22nd, we're going to have a Freedom Walk, flag raising, and we're going to have a good day for the community. Right. So come on out and enjoy Miss Victoria Vann. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I put it down. I put it down. You are tuned into the Love Movement Podcast on IntellectualRadio.com. Just got dressed. Need something to get into.